Hello and welcome to our last webinar of the year for Actio's webinars. Um, well, today is a little different from our standard webinar. We usually start with or do our webinars with um an expert where we pick their brains about their area of expertise. But today we're focused on strategy management and how can we evolve it for next year. So coming close to the year's end, we're thinking about, how can we do things better next year in practice. So today is going to be a more practical webinar. And I'm alone on it today. So I am Guilherme Barbassa, CEO of Actio, and a consultant of many years experience in strategy management. Before we dive in to the demo for the software, so how can we add value for strategy management for next year, I have some uh, housekeeping items here I wanted to go through with you guys. First, if you haven't done so yet, sign up to our community. So in our community, you'll find all the past webinars and the conversation goes on there. You can meet new people on your area of expertise, right? Strategy management and performance management. You're going to find some interesting material there. So on the chat, you will find a link for our community. Sign up and continue the conversation after the webinar, right? Another item I'd like to go through with you is the feedback form. So by the end of our talk, we're going to post here a link for a feedback form where you can give us feedback. And this helps us a lot in improving our webinars and knowing what you want to see, what you want to talk about. So please take the couple of minutes in the end to fill in the feedback form. And questions, you can put your questions here in the chat. I'll try to address them by the end of our talk, okay? Uh, if possible, during our talk, I can see the chat and see if there are any questions and try to fit in the answers. But if I'm not able to do that during the talk, I will certainly have a few minutes in the end to address the questions that you put on the chat here. So feel free to interact with us. And if you want a one-on-one talk with us to discuss your particular problems in strategy management, or just to have a chat about how's the process, how much technology you have integrated with your strategy management process, we are more than happy to have a one-on-one talk with you. So if you do want to reach out, you can just write here on the chat demo, and we will reach out to you to schedule this one-on-one talk. Okay, so if you put demo here in the chat, we will reach out to schedule a talk. All right, even though this is the last webinar of the year, I think many of you it's an initial contact point with us, with Actio. So I'll just go very briefly through what is Actio and what do we do, right? So Actio is a software company. It's been in the market for over 20 years. Originally focused on strategy management solutions, so cascading of the strategy, engaging people, making sure that what was planned is actually being executed. And it's evolved through these 20 years into a platform. Okay, so the platform involves strategy management, operational excellence, risk management, bonus management, all of this aligned and integrated into a single solution, right? And people development, people assessment and development. So the platform is a corporate process management platform. There are many corporate processes, and the platform supports uh, the whole corporate process management in an integrated way. So I'll show an example, right? It's risk management and strategy management, for example, shouldn't be apart, but we see that invariably in our clients, in some of our clients, that we have a strategy management team and a risk management team, each one with their own processes, and they don't really connect. So we can promote this connection through this technology, make them talk, right? Okay, today our focus is strategy management. So let's dive into this topic, right? So if you are still using Excel or Power BI to manage your strategy, your KPIs, cascade your goals throughout the organization, or if you have a hard time engaging your team with strategy, so you do have a strategy formalized, but you have a hard time taking it to the mid-management operational level and engaging everybody with strategy. Also, if your strategy didn't deliver the results it promised, right? So when you designed your strategy, you had an expectation of results. If that result didn't come true, possibly is the problem is your strategy management process. Or if you have a fragmented or siloed process for strategy management. All of these situations, if you have any of that, we can help, right? And that's what we're going to go through now with you. How can we help and how can it be done better? So I'll share my screen with you just to go through what we call strategy management. Right? So this is the process. I'm not going to go in detail here with you guys through the process because we had a webinar where we detailed this process and discussed each of these steps. So I'm just going to very briefly go through it with you guys just to level what's the concept of strategy management. What do we call strategy management, right? So this is the strategy formulation, right? Identity, competitive analysis, scenarios, positioning. All of this is the strategy formulation that generates a strategic map, which communicates your strategy. So the strategy, once formulated, must be um, cascaded. So you have a tactical level to strategy management. That is to attribute each person responsibility for a part of that strategy. So this is what we call goal cascading. And we also have the projects that are, or initiatives that are supporting this strategy. And all of this, the goal cascading projects and action plans, will generate the budget, what's expected to come in, to come out, investment, and so on. And you will have a first PDCA process here when you execute this plan, this tactical plan of how you're going to implement that strategy. So the execution of this implementation, systematically verifying results, standardizing what went right, and replanning what went wrong, right? The goals that weren't met. So here we have a PDCA cycle: plan, do, check, action on the tactical level. So this you do throughout the year. And from time to time, you have to check on the strategy itself. Are the strategy premises still true? Do we have to rethink the strategy? So you close a broader PDCA cycle here. So this whole process of strategy formulation, strategy planning, strategy execution, and monitoring is what we call strategy management. So every time we say this term, strategy management, we're mentioning this whole cycle. Okay? And I'll show a software to make this happen in your organization. That's our point today, our goal today. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen here. I access the software, and once we access the software, the first screen that the software will take us depends on each user. So you can select what is relevant for that particular user. For example, if someone is a C-level professional, the strategy map may be their first screen. But if they're more operational level, you may direct them to the individual dashboard for them to see their individual contribution to the whole, right? So this is very flexible and customizable. And you may have many strategic maps here. This is a balanced scorecard model with objectives, right? With perspectives and the performance of each objective here, if we're meeting or not each of these objectives. But you can also have um, a more operational view, like the process relationship. So in this case, we're not looking at strategy, we're looking at operational performance with the macro processes and each process within the macro processes. So I'm more down to operational level, seeing what must be uh, analyzed and corrected on the operational level. This is more of a performance management than strategy management, but I'm just showing you possibilities of how you can view uh, your corporate performance. You can also have, for example, ESG reports. So it's another perspective of seeing corporate performance, and you can create all your own perspectives and views on your corporate performance here, and click and navigate through each one of these objectives, processes, or KPIs. I will focus on the balanced scorecard model because it's a very popular way to communicate the strategy and manage the strategy. So here I have many objectives and I have one that has not been met, right? I can see that the goal hasn't been met. So I can click on this objective and let's dive into this to understand why hasn't this goal been met. Um, Once I do this, let me shorten a little bit the view. I have the strategic objective here, and connected to this strategic objective, I have a couple of KPIs, EBITDA and EBITDA margin. And I also have a project portfolio here that will support this strategic objective and an OKR. So you can create within the platform or use within the platform uh, different methodologies, and you should use the one that makes more sense for that business unit or that department, right? So the software isn't prescriptive, saying that, oh, you should use goal cascading for all the company, or you should use OKRs. Every department has its own particularity and its own management model and needs. So you can use different methodologies to fulfill these needs. Okay. I will navigate first through these KPIs. So I have EBITDA measuring this strategic objective of add value to the shareholder. And I see we're not delivering in EBITDA. We're pretty far from the goal. So I can ask to cascade to the next level. Okay. So here I have EBITDA cascading into OPEX, expense, revenue. I have a risk here attached to EBITDA, a couple of risks actually, cash deficit and customer default. So this is what I'm talking about, a platform, an integrated platform that I talked in the beginning, right? This is risk management connected to strategy. It's not separate or apart, right? It's I am navigating through my KPIs and I see I have a risk attached to that, and I can navigate through my risk levels to the controls that I have on this particular risk, my mitigation plan, my residual risk, right? And I can click on it and navigate through that as well. But here, I will continue analyzing my cascading of EBITDA, and my problem is not OPEX or expense. My problem is revenue, right? This is where I'm not meeting my targets. So I'll click again and go to the next level where I have per province here in Canada, right? And I have a problem here with revenue British Columbia. This is the KPI that we're not meeting the target, and it's impacting revenue, and it's impacting EBITDA, and it's impacting my objective of add value to the shareholder. So this is all connected and cascaded through KPIs from the strategic level all the way to the operational level. Okay. I can also see this in a different way. I can just, it's just a different visual, right? Where I have revenue, British Columbia, and the other provinces here. So it's the same information. I'm just seeing it in a different view, but I'll use this traditional view where I navigate to the right. Okay, so here we have a problem. We have a KPI, and this KPI has a goal to be met, and it hasn't been meeting this goal. So if I have a KPI with a goal, I have someone responsible to meet that goal. This is the person, Luciano. He is not meeting the goal. So for every goal, every KPI, you have a person accountable for that KPI. And Luciano, when he received this goal, he may have created an action plan. So what's going to be done to meet that goal? So I can click here and navigate through the action plan to understand what Luciano is planning to do or is doing to meet that particular goal. Okay, so here I have what's being done, who's doing it, what's the performance so far, the dates planned and executed, and I can see that in a Gantt chart here. Okay. So this action plan has a series of notifications and alerts that you can use. For example, automatic emails. It has an app in Teams, for example. So if you have if you use Teams, you can have the app here. And if I have any notifications from my strategy management, it'll show up here. I can click on it and go directly to the point where we are, or where that notification makes sense, this action plan, for example. We also have a mobile app where you can get notifications there and here in the software itself, right? So the idea is that the software will help you guarantee that what was planned is actually being executed, right? And nothing is planned and forgotten. You also have a Kanban view of this action plan. So it's the same action plan, but in a Kanban view where you can click and drag the actions to update them. You can open the detail here of each action. You can have like task checklists, budget for the actions, baseline, and so on. So the software is very configurable to adapt to your particular process, right? And everywhere you see this icon, it's because we have an integrated AI that will help the end user fulfill some task. For example, create an action plan to meet this particular target. So here I could activate the AI to help with this task. Um, I can ask it to just review the existing actions. So we put in all our years of knowledge of how to create action plans in this case, right? And the AI can review the action plan and propose adjustments or reassessments of the action plan. It can also propose an action plan, an action, or ask clarifying questions before proposing actions. So the idea is to have this AI with the end user acting as a virtual consultant and guiding the end user in how to do each of these steps. Okay. Okay. Um, so we had a KPI that is revenue British Columbia, right? We created an action plan, or Luciano created an action plan to meet this target. Because if the target is an improvement target and he does what he has always done, the tendency is to meet the same results he's always had. If he has to improve, someone has to do something, right? That's the action plan. And as Luciano is executing his action plan and measuring the results in the KPI, the software can also trigger uh, an analysis if he did not meet the target. So even though he executed the action plan, that was not enough for him to meet this target. So the software can send out a notification again, asking him to analyze what's going on and create corrective actions so that next month we won't have the same problems, right? So the first step that Luciano may take is to analyze what's going on here. Why hasn't he met the target? So he can click on the KPI and open an analytics board, for example, to understand what's going on. So here is a Power BI dashboard connected to that KPI where he can dive into the data and understand what's going on, right? So you have all of this analytics tools that you can use. And once he's done that, he's ready to fill in his report, his deviation report in this case. So he has a deviation of 12,000. This is past performance. He can put in here the facts. So what did he find out looking at the data? What happened? And he can create Pareto charts and so on, and do a cause analysis. So why? Why did he not meet the target? Why did that performance happen? So here he has to create causes So he can just create new causes or pull up from repository of causes in the software. He can use some of the tools that we have within the software to map out causes for that performance. So Ishikawa diagrams, just ideas where you can brainstorm possible causes, 5 whys, and so on. So there are a few tools here that you can use within the software to map out these causes that are leading to not meet the target. And the causes that he understands are fundamental, the causes that are key to not meeting the target, he can click on the star here, and then this will come to this list of causes that are leading to that to not meeting the target, right? And he can finally create actions, right? Create actions to remove this cause so that next month he won't have the same deviations, okay? And here again, the AI to help guide the user in finding what are the possible causes for that deviation, right? And finally, here we have the action plan or the corrective plan, right? Of what he's going to do to not let that bad performance happen again next month. Okay. So we saw all the way from a strategic map, we selected an objective, we cascaded that objective into KPIs all the way down to the operational level, attributing responsibility and accountability to people throughout this cascading. And we created a full operational excellence cycle on the KPIs at the operational level with an action plan. And if we have a deviation, a deviation treatment. Okay. So the cascading of KPIs is one very important tool to guarantee that the global KPIs and the strategic objectives will be met, right? But you also need the initiatives or the projects that will make the big transformations in the organization. So, connected to this strategic objective, I also have a project portfolio. Okay, so this I have quite a few projects here. Some of them are delayed. I can see that 14% of the activities in this project portfolio are delayed. And I can see the S-curve here for this particular project portfolio and open them in the programs and projects that are part of this portfolio. So I can cascade these projects as well. Okay. And this is a full project management tool integrated with the strategy management, right? So if you have your own project management tool and you want to continue using that, you may, and you can just integrate the projects here so that I can see the project in the strategy context. I can see that the projects are impacting what KPIs and what objectives, right? So I can deep dive into any of these projects. I'll click here on the portfolio itself. I have status reports that the project management can fill in, taking pictures of how the project is going and what are the challenges, what he has done to remediate these challenges, and so on. So I can have a history of the project here. I have a responsibility matrix, action plans, and the project itself. So here I can see who's responsible for this project, who are the sponsors, baseline for the project. So has the initial planning changed the budget for the project? S curves, sub projects, tags, and so on. So this is a full project management tool, and I can see the action plan as well. Since I've clicked on a project portfolio, I'll see here actually not one project, but a series of projects, right, that are part of this portfolio. So here I see 4 projects, and I can detail each of these projects here in a single Gantt graph, right, or Gantt chart. So each of these projects are going on, but some of them are delayed. I have a relationship between the activities of the project. So, okay, a very standard project management tool with the differentiation, as I mentioned, that it is integrated with the strategy as a whole, right? Okay, and I mentioned OKRs as well, right? So here I have KPIs, I have projects, and I have OKRs. So I have an objective for an OKR, improve accuracy of financial statements. And this OKR has key results, right? And it may also have other OKRs cascading from this OKR, right? So I have a actually better report here for OKRs, where I can see all of the OKRs of the company. I can filter them out. I can open the objectives and key results. Okay. So if, for example, your IT department uses OKRs because their projects and their goals are less, have more variability within it, they're not sure like deliverable what's going to be. So in this scenario, OKR is very recommended as the tool to manage this level of uncertainty, right? So you're not sure what you or how you're going to deliver the expected results. So OKR being more iterative and with shorter cycles of analysis are more indicated for this kind of scenario. So this may be true for product development or for IT, but not necessarily true for operation, for example, for manufacture, right, where KPIs and continuous improvement models may make more sense. So you may have in a single company many realities and many needs, and the software is able to address each of these needs with its own uh, methodology and practice. Okay. So we saw a little bit of KPI management, project management, and OKRs now. There are other tools, but I'm not going to go through all of them. The idea is more to show the next step, right? So all of this, KPIs, deviation reports, action plans, projects, OKRs, tasks, right? Initiatives here in OKRs or check-ins. All of this information you can consolidate in dashboards to have a more specific view of what you want to see, right? So if I'm a financial manager, I want a dashboard that summarizes all of financial management information throughout the organization. So I can come here in dashboard and create my own dashboard. Okay, this is an example of a dashboard. So a value chain with the macro processes and the processes, and I can dive deep into these processes and understand their KPIs, their standardization, the documentation in each of these processes. And we can also select a different uh, dashboard here. For example, overall equipment efficiency. It's a KPI that is very common in manufacturing. So you can have a dashboard with the OEE KPI broken down into its in its parts, right? And I can click on the dashboards and navigate through the elements, through the KPIs and projects that are part of this dashboard. Let me select another dashboard here for us. Projects. So this is another dashboard that focuses on strategic initiatives, where I have a couple of major initiatives here and detail each project that is being managed within the organization that is connected to strategy. So I can see the projects, the timeline, people responsible for it, what's the achieved level, and I can again click on each of these and navigate through the project to see the details of each of these projects, right? And again, it's very flexible for you to create the view that you need within the software. And there's also the individual dashboard. The individual dashboard is my particular dashboard. So it's everything that is mine here, right? So I have a couple of delayed actions. I have 2 KPIs under my responsibility, 3 projects, 0 pending reports. I have access to a few dashboards, a few strategic maps. I have 8 OKRs where I participate in these OKRs, be it as responsible or just a team member. And I can click on any of these. For example, I'm going to click here in my delayed actions to see what are these couple of delayed actions that are under my responsibility. So these are the actions, they're both delayed and they're both under my responsibility. Here I can filter out all of my actions and see everything that is my responsibility within the strategy management framework, right? So I can see here, for example, my personal Kanban, all of my actions, and these are the couple of delayed actions. I can just update them. And I have actions from some KPIs, some projects, some risks. So I can see all of my actions centralized in one place. May it come from risk mitigation, a KPI that did not meet its target and we did a corrective action, or it can be from a project and so on, right? And in my individual dashboard, I also have my calendar. So in my calendar, I can see everything that is mine, right? For example, I have to insert values in some KPIs here on the 20th. Let me see, last month. I have a risk review to do. I have a couple of KPIs as well. I have a control review for risk management. I have an action that is supposed to begin at this date, and so on, right? So here it's integrated also with Microsoft, so it's integrated with Outlook, and I can see all of this not only here, but also in my Microsoft calendar structure, right? Here I also have a monthly meeting for results management, for example. So I can click on this meeting to see what is this meeting about. So if I have a performance meeting, a monthly performance meeting, I can create the meeting here in the software, and I can select who are going to be the participants, what are the guidelines for this meeting, what is the presentation for the meeting. So I can create the presentation for the meeting in the software. I don't have to copy and paste to some PowerPoint to do the performance meetings. So I can click here and go into my monthly results meeting. It can be budget meeting, it can be strategy meeting, it can be results meeting within the cascading structure. So it can be like a production results meeting or marketing results meeting, right? You can have all of this already planned in the software. And once you go in the meeting, you can just uh, select here next, and you'll move through the slides for this meeting. So this is the third slide, and so on. Okay, with the advantage that this is the last data you have on this KPI. It's not something that was copied and pasted to some static PowerPoint. And I can click on it. So I can click on EBITDA. I'm not meeting the target. I can click on it. I can cascade it. So it's dynamic. It gives a whole new dynamic to the results meetings where you can actually navigate and see the data and question. And then you can create your minutes for the meeting. You can create your action plans. So if you decide something on the meeting, you can create an action plan here for the meeting, and the software will follow up on this action plan that you created during the meeting. Okay. There are a series of reports and views that you can use here. For example, this favorites. So I can have a filter and let's say projects. So I filter out my projects, the ones that I'm involved in. And so I don't want to have to do this filter every time. So I can just click here on favorites, projects, put my projects. And every time that I want to access this filter, I can just come in favorites, click on my projects, and go directly to that page with the filters that I established, right? So I can see my projects, my actions, my KPIs, my OKRs, anything in the scope of the software. Some of the questions that pop up a lot is it possible to integrate the data? Is it possible to feed these KPIs directly from some other database? And the answer is yes. We use APIs to connect these databases that you have and feed in automatically the KPIs. Okay. All right. I don't see you guys while I'm presenting. So let me see if there are any questions. Okay. I don't see any questions right now, but if you guys have any questions, please put here in the chat that we can address your questions. And I'd also recommend that if you want to talk about specifically your case, we're more than happy to set a time apart to talk one-on-one with you. And if you want that, just reach out here through the chat and we can schedule some time for that. Can we integrate this software with other databases? Yeah, I just mentioned that we have APIs that can integrate and feed the KPIs directly from your databases. We also have an integration service. So if you have the data in some software or database or data lake, but you don't have the people to do the integration, we can provide that service for you as well and do the integration in that sense. And not only KPIs, for example, integration with projects. We can do the integration for you guys. Right? Okay. Thank you very much for coming to our last webinar. Next year, we will reformulate this webinar, the format, given the feedback that you're giving us. There's another question here. What are limitation in making changes during the strategy implementation period? Okay, so this is a question that is very company specific. The limitations, the software doesn't necessarily establish a limitation. Let me share again the screen. In the software, you have profiles. Oh, where is it? Oh, template. So in the software, you have profiles, and these profiles, you establish who can do what in the software, right? So you can have an admin profile, a manager profile, project manager. You create your own profiles, right? And for each profile, you will establish what that person can do in the software. So, for example, KPIs. Who can change a KPI? So project managers can't change KPIs or delete KPIs, right? So through this configuration, you will establish who has the authority to change your strategic plan throughout the year, be it creating a new KPI, changing a goal, or creating a new project or canceling a project. So since that is very company specific, we make it very flexible for you to create your own model here of who can change KPIs and change not only KPIs, but the whole strategy management. Yes, I'll be very happy to have a private chat. Let's reach out to you to schedule this. Can you create risk registers for all departments in the software? Yeah, absolutely. I didn't show the risk management part, but I can go quickly here to our risk management module and select, for example, impacted items. So here I can have risks attached to contracts, to processes, and to organizational structure like departments or business units, like you mentioned, to strategy and strategic objectives, right? So each of these I can break down into how many levels you want, and I can see how many risks I have. What are the levels of risks in each department or business unit? In this example, we've seen processes, but it could be departments. And I can navigate through them. So click on the risk and go see the details for this risk, right? So let me get one risk here. So I clicked on one of the risks and dove here to see the risk registration, risk analysis, bow tie, causes and consequences and controls, the risk evaluations throughout time, risk events, and mitigation plan. Okay, so the answer is yes, you can um, have risk registration registers for all departments in the software. Okay, it was a pleasure presenting to you guys. Have a great year's end, and I hope to see you next year in our new series of webinars.